Okay, welcome. This is week one for CIS102. I want to kind of go over what you're doing this week, including getting set up for your MyIT lab along with week one's assignment. So we're going to get started with MyIT lab first. Just a reminder, this is the course code to get into MyIT lab, KONKOL01016. So in the middle part of the page, there's a couple things you got to do between now and Sunday. Is setting up MyIT lab. You have through Thursday to finish up the MyIT lab setup, and then through Sunday to finish the About Me, Chapter 1 of MyIT lab, and discussion. And so even if you can't afford the initial purchase of MyIT lab, you have a 14-day trial, which I'll show you how to set up. Or if you've already ordered the book through RBC Bookstore, say you ordered it today, you can still get started today with the trial version. You have 14 days, and you can enter in the access code when you get it through the bookstore in the mail. Okay, so we're going to get started with the MyIT lab setup first. If you haven't yet watched the Getting Started podcast, watch that. Read the CIS102 FAQs and the MyIT lab setups, what we're going to go over in this podcast. The first link is a link to purchase the book bundle from the bookstore. Second link is to register the MyIT lab. I'm going to show you how to register as for those of you that have ordered but you're waiting on the book. You can go ahead and get a MyIT lab with a 14-day trial until your book comes in. Just as long as it comes in within a 14-day window, you're good. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen here to another screen. Before I do that, I want to make sure click on this document here because you'll need that to register. So it walks you through the steps of going to this website here, which I'll show you in a second, selecting student under register, confirming that you have the below information, my ID for the course I just showed you, your username and password for Pearson. If you don't have a username and password, you'll create one. And then you can put in the access code that's from the bookstore book that's sent to you, or you can buy it or wait. I would recommend the only two options for us is the bookstore option, which is going to have the code, or temporary access until the bookstore until the book gets to your house. Okay. So let me show you what the site looks like to get registered temporarily or to get into the class for 14-day trial. You'll click on student under register now, click on student. Email address, you can use your Gmail, your RBC email, whichever one you want. The instructor course ID is the one that it's right here, KONKOL01016. I'm going to copy that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK register now. Put in the course ID I just copied. I'm going to create a new Pearson account, and you'll do the same thing with your email. You can put a Gmail account or whatever email you want to put in here. You have to agree to the terms, and I suggest doing the I do not wish to get information. These first and last one you have to select. Click create account. Then if you have the access code ready from the bookstore, if they've already sent it to you, and you have it in hand, you can click this and type in the access code, and you'll go right into the class. Otherwise, use credit card or PayPal, or you'll notice at the bottom here, get temporary access without payment for 14 days. Click on that if you're waiting on the book to come in still. Are you sure you want temporary access? Yes. Now it says I have temporary access to the course for 14 days. Use an access code, credit card, or PayPal before June 29th, 2020 to stay in the course. So when you get the course code from RBC Bookstore in the mail, that's when you will come in here and upgrade and select use course code and or access code and enter that in, which I'll show you how to do that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and click go to my courses. And you'll notice down right here at the bottom where it says temporary access expires in 14 days, upgrade access. I'm going to click on that. And when you get the book in the mail from the RBC bookstore, here's where you'll click on access code and you'll type in the access code from the bookstore. And then then that temporary access is then lifted and you now have full access. So hopefully that helps everybody. That means 100% of students can get access to my T-Lab immediately. One of the things I also want to show you with the my T-Lab, you do have an e-version of the book that's coming to you. And I'll show you how to do that as well. You will need to allow pop-ups in the browser, which I'm going to do here in my Chrome browser. Just clicking on the address bar there, the little pop-up. And I want to always allow it. Hit done. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to get to the e-version of the textbook from my T-Lab. Once you're logged into my T-Lab, you'll click on the course materials. Wait for it to load. Go down to eText. Click on Technology in Action, the top one. Click here to access the eText. You will have to accept the user agreement. Select your country, United States. I agree. Checkbox and continue. And now we are into the e-version of the textbook, because there is some reading you need to do starting with week 1. You can use the e-version of the text from here on out if you want to. You don't have to wait to get your book. And you can start reading your text immediately day 1 today. So you're going to wait on, the only thing you need to wait on now is basically, for those of you that signed on without the course code or without the access code from the bookstore, is you need to wait on the access code once it comes in the mail. Enter that in like I showed you how to earlier, and you're good to go. So hopefully that helps you on signing up temporary access for 14 days, irregardless if you have the code right now or not. If you have it now, the access code right now, just enter it in, and then you don't have to do the temporary access. But if you don't have the access code and you're waiting on the bookstore to get the book to you, or financially you can't afford to do it right now, maybe wait a few days before you can do it, you can use it for that as well. Either one of those choices that you're in, those camps that you're in, everybody, 100% of students can get online, as I just showed you, to my T-Lab, to where you can start your work today. So hopefully that helps everybody. Once you've registered, like I just showed you how to do, then you're going to go through this initial look at my T-Lab. It basically is going to walk you through what I just showed you how to get access to, which one of them is the e-text portion on number 8 here. I just showed you how to get access to the ebook, basically. Also, the assignment calendar. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. So once you're registered and logged in, this is what the page should look like. CIS102 210310 21030 Conkle. I'm going to go to the assignment calendar. Wait for that to load. You'll notice on the assignment calendar, there's little, looks like little timers, icons. That means these are when things are due. Anything that's on a Friday is extra credit, by the way. You're not required to do those, but it's a little bit of points if you want to do them. So you'll notice the first major due date is the 21st coming up. I click on that. It has 3 items due. Chapter 1, check your understanding quiz. Chapter 2, check your understanding part 2, or chapter 1, part 2, and then chapter 1, end of chapter quiz. When you click on each one of these, it's going to open it up into a new page, and you have 3 attempts. You'll go through and answer the questions. You'll finish and submit it when you're done. And you have up to 3 attempts per each one of these 3. Before you do these, though, just a reminder, make sure if you go to modules on the left side of 102, here's the assignment for this week, My TLab TIA Chapter 1. It tells you to read first Chapter 1 of Technology in Action. That's the online e-version I just showed you how to get access to. So you'll read Chapter 1 first. Also, it talks about PowerPoints available in the chapter. I'll show you where those are at in a second. Go over those second. Then review the check understanding activities on page 11 and 31 of the Technology in Action textbook or e-text. You'll be completing the similar identical check your understanding in the My TLab, which is going to be the kind of the quiz. Review the chapter quiz on page 34. You'll be entering the answers in My TLab 2016. Then you'll log into My TLab, and that's when you will do on the calendar the 3 items: check your understanding part 1, part 2, and the end of chapter quiz. It also mentioned here on number 7 about every Friday or a number of Fridays there'll be extra credit available. Just like this Friday, there is one on the 19th. It's on Virtual Computer Tour, extra credit soundbite. When you click on that, it'll always ask if you want to leave the site and read the instructions here before you do the extra credit. Again, you have 3 attempts on the extra credit. Click Start. And you'll notice
Virtual Computer Tour. In this soundbite, we'll remove the cover of a typical computer and look at how all the parts fit together inside. Although we are using...
I'm going to go ahead and finish that. But you'll notice that it has sound built into it along with slides and audio. So make sure the volume's turned up on your computer. As you go through the slides, there'll be certain slides that'll have you do some things. Once you're finished, it'll tell you how many of you scored out of how many. And then you can keep taking it until you're satisfied with your score. And you can just exit out of the tab when you're done once you're finished. If you hit return to course, it's going to close out anyway, by the way. If you didn't pass it, it'll tell you didn't pass it. But then you can click on it again up to 3 times to pass. But as long as you've done your reading first and all the examples it talks about, you're going to be good. Now let me show you to get access to, it talks about here in number 1, how I got access to I already showed you how to do the textbook, the e-text. I won't show you that. I did that already. The PowerPoints for the chapter. Let's go over that. So go back to main menu in My TLab. Go down to course materials. And I've tried to open up all the course materials for you, even though you're not going to use everything in the class. So I just went over the e-text earlier. That's where you're going to find the book, the online version of your book. And the name of that book is The Technology in Action. You'll click on the e-text to find that. But to get to the PowerPoints for the CIS concepts, because that's the one it's talking about here, is the PowerPoint for the chapter, is in the course material tab, TIA concepts, TIA chapter 1, TIA chapter 1 resources. So I'm going to click on TIA chapter 1, chapter 1 resources, and here is the PowerPoint. If I click on that, it's going to open it up into a new screen and download that PowerPoint. Once I click on the download, it's then going to open it up into PowerPoint to watch. Now, you're not required to watch the PowerPoints. It is something I recommend just to make sure you have covered the data before you go into the MIT labs. And you might be asking, I don't have PowerPoint on my computer. That is one of the options on the homepage that I recommend doing on week 1, since you have time to do it this week. There's not as much to do this week, is to install Office 2016. It's totally free for RBC students. You'll click on this link, follow the directions on how to install it, and then you'll have Office 2016 on your computer along with PowerPoint. So I'm going to go back to assignment 1 that we were in earlier. So I showed you how to access the PowerPoints for chapter 1 in my T-Lab. You'll also notice other things in there like the PowerPoint and audio PowerPoint presentation. This actually has audio in the PowerPoint. You can do that as well. Chapter 1, like other chapters, also might have videos. I recommend watching these as well. Again, you're not graded on these and you're not required to watch these, but again, they are good resources to use. So if you do your reading from your e-text in chapter 1, you do the PowerPoints, you do the videos, then you're going to be good to go for the MIT Lab. So steps 1, 2, and 3 in your instructions here are vital to succeed and go through quickly your check your understanding part 1 and 2 and the end of chapter quiz. All right. So I'll go over real quick on the reading part, the page numbers here. It talks about chapter 1 in TIA, Technology in Action. Talks about the review, the check your understanding activities on page 11 and 31 of chapter 1. So let's go there and see if I can show you that. Going back to e-text, I'm going to bring up the Technology in Action book. We're going to try to find, I think it's page 11 through and 31 of the book in chapter 1. Okay. So let me go to the menu. You'll notice here it says number 4 on the page I'm at right now, upper left corner. So I'm going to click the right arrow. I'm on page 5 now, page 7, page 8. So if there's 2 pages per page, there's 9. It's going to be page 9, page 10. Okay, here's page 11. talks about on number 2 here. Review the check and understanding activities on page 11 and 31. So here's page 11. See if you can answer these questions. And then it also goes over page 31. And you can also, I think, go by the menu over here to get to it maybe a little quicker. Let's see what this page is. Yeah, it's chapter review, page 31. So in chapter review, page 31, it goes over a review of what you just read and went over. Read this information as well. Once you've done that and you've read the chapter 1 from the e-text, you've also, and this is all of chapter 1 here, Impact of Technology in a Changing World. Read all of chapter 1, then also read page 11. Which goes over the check and understanding, and the chapter review, which goes over all the different things talked about in the chapter. Once you've done the reading, number 2, you've done for chapter 1, then you've done the check and understanding on 11 and 31 pages on the My T-Lab Technology in Action book. The review quiz on page 34. Let's go there. I'm on 31 right now. 32. Here it is. See if you know the answers to these. If you don't know the answers to these by just looking at them, I would suggest rereading the text. Once you've done that, on steps 1, 2, and 3, then you're then ready to log into the My T-Lab. Go to the course calendar, the assignment calendar, wait for it to load. Go to Sunday the 21st, and that's where you'll finish all 3 of these. All right? And just a reminder, each one of these 3, when you click on them, will tell you need to read the instructions for each one. Like this one says, once you begin the activity, you must complete it. The goal is 100% of points. You have 3 attempts on the questions you missed. Review the suggested material, which will be chapter 1, to gain a better understanding. The highest score will appear in the grade book. And that's going to be for each one of these 3. All right? Part 1, Part 2, and the end of chapter 1 quiz. And as mentioned in the FAQ and also in the getting started, your grades will be all on My T-Lab, which I'll show you how to get to that. Go back to main menu, click on grades, and you will notice right now, I've not done any activity on this one, I just signed up for this account user, but here's where all of your grades will show up. If you go to custom view though, custom view is going to be a better view for you globally to view your grade, how many points out of how many points. I generally will do most grading for the week following. So since everything's due by Sunday for each week, by that following Wednesday, like next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, I will generally have everything graded. After I get things graded, I will send the entire class an email saying everything's graded. Check My T-Lab for your grade. Some of these activities, by the way, or most of the activities in My T-Lab are automatically graded. So as soon as you finish the activity, it's going to show up in your grade book. You don't have to wait for me to grade it. And that's the nice thing about My T-Lab. So we just went over real quickly here the My T-Lab setup. And just a reminder, if you've ordered the book and you're waiting on the book for the access code, you can go ahead and sign up for a temporary 14-day. That way you can get started work today. And what that means is 100% of my students can start working today with my T-Lab, regardless if you do not have an access code from the bookstore. All you'll need is this course ID to get started. Follow the instructions in the My T-Lab setup that we just went over earlier, and you're good to go for My T-Lab. Just a reminder on the My T-Lab before I go further is once you're finished setting up the My T-Lab, I just need you to hit done. I need you to submit done. That's it. They'll actually submit the word done in the submission, and I will show you what your screen looks like or should look like. So in My T-Lab setup, you will hit submit assignment once you're finished and you've registered for My T-Lab, you're logged in to My T-Lab. Again, 100% of students should be able to log in and register. For those that have an access code from the book and those who don't and you're waiting, everybody can register. Just a reminder, if you don't have an access code from the book yet, you can register temporary access at no cost for 14 days. So you'll just type in the word done, hit submit assignment, and it'll tell me when you submitted it. And I showed you how to do already in this podcast week 1 for My T-Lab. I will also show you the other things that are due, which is the About Me and the discussion. The About Me, which some of you have already finished, is tell a little bit about yourself. Copy these questions here, paste them in, hit reply below, paste them, and answer the 5 questions and submit them. I want you to read at least 2 or more other students' posts and reply to theirs for 20 points. Again, this is due by Sunday. Already went over the My T-Lab Chapter 1. Discussion 1. Each week we'll have a discussion. This week is how was your first week of class? And you'll just give your assessment of, how easy was it to sign up? How easy was it to register to My T-Lab? How are things going in general? Post that in that discussion, and that is it for week 1. So again, recap, My T-Lab, everybody should set up on that between now and Wednesday or Thursday. I think I've got the due date for Thursday on the My T-Lab. So go ahead and get that set up. And if you don't have the access code yet, remember you can do the 14-day trial until you get your access code in. Once you get your access code in, when you log into My T-Lab, just click upgrade and type in the access code that gives you from the book. Week 1 podcast is this right here you're listening to. The About Me, already went over that. My T-Lab went over that. Remember on the My T-Lab to do all the reading on the e-text or the book, either one if you have the book at home already. If you don't have the book, do the e-text version. Go over everything it tells you to do in the My T-Lab Chapter 1 before you actually go online and doing the 3 assignments, which is Check Your Understanding Part 1 and 2 and the End of Chapter Quiz, and Discussion Week 1. I'm also going to have now a weekly from 4 to 7. It's going to start here in a second. Online office hours. Click on this link from 4 to 7 if you have any questions. I'll be more than glad to help you. You're not required to do online office hours, but if you need help, you can. So let's have a great first week and remainder 8 weeks, and look forward to getting to know some of you, and hope you learn some stuff in computer science. So have a great week.